the latest?
Jeff,
Kosovo, they're going to stay, trying to understand the volcano and knowing there is no answer. The little boy who was a pawn in a trafficking scheme, the Attorney General says he will stay here. We'll take a closer look tonight at police work in 2 languages. It's increasingly necessary. And our correspondent, Mike Lee, on the road to anywhere. Tonight, Hollywood in the Outback.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pretty relentless message about the economy these days. The earnings at some of the country's most prominent corporations are off and business is not improving. Stock prices were off again today, and the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board does not have a ready-made pick-me-up. On the New York Stock Exchange, the shares of ExxonMobil, the energy giant, were off. AT&T's stock was down on a bad earnings report, and the aluminum maker Alcoa was down as well. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down more than 183 points to close at 10,241. On the NASDAQ, stocks were down more than 29 points. In the past 3 trading days, the Dow has been down more than 368 points. And there were some suggestions at the Senate Banking Committee today that cutting the interest rates again and again was not necessarily effective, which is why we need ABC's Betsy Stark here again. Let's start with the companies. Pretty dismal picture.
It sure is, Peter. This has been one of the worst quarters for many companies in a decade. A decade ago, we had a recession going. Every day seems to bring more bad news from another big company. Today, one of the biggest casualties was Lucent. Take a look at some of the bad news we got from Lucent today. The company said it lost even more money this quarter than it expected to. It plans to lay off another 15,000 to 20,000 workers. Since the beginning of the year, it's laid off about a third of its workforce. No surprise then that its stock was off about 19% today, and it took a lot of other telecoms down with it.
And the future of Amazon, which seems to be a mystery story.
Well, Amazon.com, as you know, has never made money. Once again, came out today and said it didn't make money, but Wall Street has always looked to the future of this stock optimistically. Today, Amazon said the future for the rest of this year does not look good, and you can see what happened to its stock as a result. Once traded as high as 106, today it was down 25% and closed around 12.
Any reassuring news from the chairman of the Federal Reserve who testified before the Banking Committee today? He got criticized.
He did get criticized, and the fact that he didn't offer reassuring news is one of the things weighing on this market. Mr. Greenspan has intimated that a turnaround is coming, but he has not been at all specific as to when, and the markets are looking for some good news, and all they're hearing from Mr. Greenspan are more warnings that the economy could, in fact, get weaker.
Many thanks. Betsy Stark. Now let's go to the other principal story of the day. President Bush spent his last day in Europe visiting U.S. troops in Kosovo, who were there with NATO on a peacekeeping mission. In the election campaign, Mr. Bush said he would bring the troops home. Now he believes they should stay. ABC's Terry Moran has been with the president in Kosovo today.
The scene, Camp Bondsteel, Kosovo, a flattened hilltop that serves as home base for most of the 5,400 U.S. troops still stationed here. President Bush came to thank the soldiers for their service.
Thanks to you, the March of Freedom continues around the world.
And then he took the opportunity to sign a bill he brought with him from Washington, a pay raise for the troops.
I know how hard frequent deployments are on you and your families. I know that America owes you a decent quality of life.
The president and his advisors have made clear they want to bring the troops in the Balkans home.
Mr. Bush says the troops here won't leave until all the NATO forces pull out. But the Kosovo mission is precisely the kind of military commitment, open-ended peacekeeping in a tense regional conflict, that the president says his administration will not undertake in the future.
In Kosovo, the mission has changed over time. Once, there were 20,000 U.S. troops here, part of a NATO force with one goal: pacify the war-torn province. Then, NATO took on ordinary civilian responsibilities, traffic management, neighborhood policing, and the like. And now, there's a new mission: cut off the flow of arms from Kosovo to Albanian rebels across the border in Macedonia. Yesterday, more fighting broke out in the Macedonian city of Tetovo, just 40 miles from Camp Bondsteel. Refugees fled the area today. Signs of the ethnic tensions that still persist in the Balkans. And White House officials privately admit U.S. troops will have to remain in this part of the world for years to come. Terry Moran, ABC News, with the president in Camp Bondsteel, Kosovo.
President Bush got quite severely criticized today by former President Jimmy Carter. Mr. Carter told the Ledger-Inquirer of Georgia that I have been disappointed in almost everything he has done. Mr. Carter said Mr. Bush has failed to pressure Israel to withdraw from Palestinian Gaza. He is not supporting human rights with enough vigor, and he has threatened to abandon the anti-ballistic missile treaty. Mr. Carter said that would re-escalate the nuclear arms race. Several items in the national brief today. President Bush's Social Security Commission said today that without a drastic overhaul, Social Security will run out of money in 15 years. A decision on how to solve the problem, which almost certainly means privatizing part of it, has been put off until the fall. Several labor union representatives demonstrated outside today saying privatizing the fund will leave people with nothing to fall back on. Congressional hearings in Washington today about security at U.S. seaports. The government says that last year, you can see there, 56% of cocaine and 65% of heroin that actually got into the United States came through seaports. The Bush administration says it will no longer subsidize a program to buy back guns in public housing projects. The program was started in 1999 and bought back 20,000 guns in 80 cities the first year. The Department of Housing and Urban Development says it is not necessarily getting guns out of the hands of criminals. The Highway Safety Administration today has opened another investigation into the tires on Ford SUVs. Not Firestone tires this time, but tires made by Continental General. Ford used them as replacements. And there is some question as to whether they are even less safe than the original Firestones. Now we go overseas. In southern Italy today on the island of Sicily, the volcano Mount Etna keeps right on doing its thing. This is what the latest eruption looks like from a satellite. ABC's Bob Woodruff reports from Mount Etna tonight that Sicilians can never predict what the mountain will do.
The day began on Mount Etna with bad news. 2 new cracks had opened up yesterday on the volcano's lower slopes. Today, this crater was spitting lava, which flowed and burned its way down the mountain.
Here at the edge of the crater, the lava is constantly launched into the air, where it hardens and falls back to earth as rock. There is a faint smell of sulfur in the air, and the heat from the lava's flow burns the side of your face.
By morning, the lava had moved to within 2 miles of Nicolosi, a village of 5,000 people directly in the lava's path. In what appeared to be an act of desperation, airplanes and helicopters dropped water on the lava to try to harden it and slow it down. This French scientist, who has been collecting and analyzing the lava here, says that strategy will never work. The lava is red hot. The water just evaporates. Although it cannot be stopped, it can be steered away. All day, crews dug trenches, trying desperately to save nearby chairlifts and buildings. Some of them could not be saved. Then, late this afternoon, Nicolosi got some good news. Helicopter surveys showed that 2 of Mount Etna's higher craters are no longer active. The lava flow had slowed to a crawl.
For the moment, no danger at all.
For almost a week, the people of Nicolosi had prayed for those words. Although they know the mountain can roar back at any time, tonight they believe their prayers have been answered. Bob Woodruff, ABC News on Mount Etna in Italy.
The other overseas items in brief, a Chinese academic in China, but who lives in the U.S., has been found guilty of spying for Taiwan. Zhao Zhan was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Secretary of State, Colin Powell, says he will raise her case and that of another U.S. resident convicted today when he visits China later this week. This was the scene at the international airport in Sri Lanka today, not a plane crash, but the work of separatist Tamil guerrillas. A small force invaded the airport early this morning and blew up several aircraft. 20 people, including all of the 13 Tamils, died in a firefight that lasted 10 hours. In the Tour de France, the American cyclist Lance Armstrong is going strong. The race will end in Paris on Sunday, and Armstrong is going to be very hard to beat. He currently has a 5-minute lead on his nearest challenger. In Australia, where they love the sea, a government official wants a law to protect the sightseers from themselves, and for good reason. Here's one guy standing on top of a dead whale while a great white shark feeds on the carcass. And here's another guy who can't resist touching the great white shark while it feeds.
Harry, are you an idiot or what?
Yep, as the girl next to him suggested, an idiot, and that's why the state government wants a new law. And one other note from the Middle East. A Palestinian family has confirmed to us the reports of a newborn baby who died because the mother was held up at an Israeli army checkpoint are not correct. The baby apparently suffered respiratory failure en route to the hospital. When we come back, the little boy from Thailand who's trapped, and the U.S. Attorney General wants to help. Later in the broadcast, the language problem that is plaguing the police. We'll take a closer look. And finally tonight, On the Road to Anywhere, Mike Lee, the Stars, the Scorpions, and the cinema.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Gateway.
Buying a computer can be so stressful. We probably spent about a good month and a half looking through flyers and asking questions, and so.
And going from store to store. I think we hit each store at least 2 times.
Yeah. We really didn't know what to expect when we walked into Gateway, to be honest with you. What sealed the deal for us was the fact that they matched the price.
I mean, it almost seemed too good to be true.
But then it was in writing, so it was right, plain black and white.
Show us an ad with a better price on a new, comparable, nationally advertised name brand PC, and we will beat that price.
How can a cereal so simple taste so good? Life is full of surprises.
Ouch! Pain again? I thought your dentist said brush with Sensodyne every day.
I stopped when the pain stopped.
Keep using it. It keeps working.
Sensodyne every day. Now try Sensodyne Tartar Control Plus Whitening every day.
How was your dinner, eh? Oh, heartburn. I've got just what you need.
Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief. Faster than Pepcid AC or even the leading prescription. Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief.
Welcome to a hot spot where pain and discomfort dwell. It's down at the end of Acid Street, the Heartburn Hotel. Well, your stomach's are burning, baby. The acids are churning, baby. You're getting heartburn all the time. Well, you change the way you're eating. You're getting exercise. You're treated for 2 days a week or more. The acid starts to rise.
Prescription Prevacid can mean 24-hour relief from acid reflux disease. Prevacid turns off tiny pumps that produce acid. It has a low occurrence of side effects, such as diarrhea, abdominal pain, and nausea. Ask your doctor if Prevacid is right for you.
So leave your heartburn behind. Yeah!
The Attorney General has taken a special interest in the case of a young boy from Thailand who may not be old enough to know he wants to stay in the country, but Mr. Ashcroft wants him to stay. The Attorney General said today that the boy's predicament should appeal to Americans, their compassion, particularly as a people. ABC's David Wright has the details.
This little boy, known as Got, was 2 years old when he was brought to Los Angeles from his native Thailand. His mother, a prostitute, had rented him to a couple who were seeking entry to the U.S. Got became a prop in a human trafficking scheme. The Attorney General calls human trafficking an affront to human dignity.
Using Got as a decoy, the couple posed as a vacationing family in an effort to traffic the woman into the United States, reportedly to work as a prostitute.
Immigration officers did not believe they were vacationers. They refused entry to the couple and took Got into protective custody. He was sick with chickenpox, an ear infection, and authorities later learned he was HIV positive. For more than a year, Got has been in legal limbo. His Thai grandparents want him back, but last month a federal judge refused to send him, saying he would not have access to proper treatment for AIDS.
If we were to send him back, we would have given him a death sentence.
Yesterday, Ashcroft made Got the first candidate for a new category of visa created to protect the victims of trafficking.
Stories like Got's can't help but move us. They appeal not just to our principles as a nation, but to our compassion.
Got now splits his time between his legal guardians and a Los Angeles family seeking to adopt him. He is able to take drugs to treat his HIV infection.
I think we could actually claim victory today. Now God will be able to finally be a normal 4-year-old kid.
But his life in the U.S. is not assured. His Thai grandparents have vowed not to give up the fight to get him back. David Wright, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There were two items in the medical file tonight. The National Cancer Institute is launching the largest trial ever on prostate cancer, which is the second most common cancer in men. 32,000 men will be studied for as long as 12 years to see if the mineral selenium and vitamin E help to prevent it. And Japanese researchers say they've proven for the first time that secondhand smoke makes it harder for blood to reach the heart. Healthy non-smokers who were exposed to cigarette smoke for only 30 minutes had a significant, if temporary, decrease in their coronary artery function. When we come back, a 21st century challenge for the police. This is about language.
Today I made an omelet.
I picked an apple.
I sent the fax.
This is about chemotherapy and living your life. This is about Procrit. If you're a chemotherapy patient and you feel tired and weak, ask your doctor about Procrit.
I played a game.
Procrit is a natural way to regain red blood cells lost during chemotherapy. And more red blood cells can mean more strength.
I caught a fish.
Procrit is safe and effective. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
I went to the store.
Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need. Your strength for living.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
It's LensCrafter's best $99 offer ever. Right now, get a complete pair of glasses with DuraLens, our most scratch-resistant plastic lens for only $99. The $99 DuraLens event. This one you don't want to miss.
Thursday nights are chilly nights at Ladder Company 55. And when it's Wachowski's turn, it's a 5-alarmer. That means heartburn and gas. These don't have the medicine to relieve both, but now there's new Gas X with Maalox, combining the proven heartburn relief of Maalox with the most powerful gas-fighting medicine around to relieve heartburn and gas fast. New Gas X with Maalox beats the burn and the bloat fast.
Facts of Life by Lysol. Fact, carpet odors can give your nose a real workout. Fact, introducing Lysol Fabric Refresher. Lysol eliminates odors on fabrics caused by bacteria, mold, and mildew. Life demands Lysol. That's a fact.
You know, if it weren't for my wife's arthritis, she wouldn't be here today. She's always depended on Extra Strength Bayer for arthritis pain.
Then when Mom had a heart attack, she knew to take Original Strength Bayer, like the doctor said.
Bayer. Take it for pain, take it for life.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at the language barrier. Today, two major Latino groups released what they say is the first comprehensive survey of Latinos since the census found them to be the country's largest minority. And the survey reveals that their greatest concerns are discrimination, education, unemployment, immigration, and the language barrier. Tonight, from ABC's Steve Osunsami, an example of how hard it is to be without the right language at the right time.
Chattanooga, Tennessee is an historic river city where change doesn't come easy. And now the city is symbolic of a new challenge for the Deep South. A record number of Latinos moving here to work on farms and in factories. This is an incredible shift for Dixie, where in Tennessee, the Latino population is up nearly 300% in 10 years. Where teachers and nurses must now learn Spanish, and where the police, especially the police, are struggling to adjust. The Chattanooga Police Department is searching the country for recruits like Anthony Easter, a tall, blonde, blue-eyed rookie whose parents are missionaries in South America, where he learned fluent Spanish.
You don't know if they're scared of you, if they're hiding something, if they're a victim, or if they just committed a crime. And so communication channels need to be open.
Nashville police learned the hard way earlier this year that police need Spanish in the field. A van load of farm workers crashed, and rescue workers couldn't communicate with the victims.
Certainly, our efforts to recruit Hispanic officers has not kept up with the growth in the community.
Finding recruits who speak Spanish isn't easy. Police in Dallas even traveled as far as Puerto Rico, but returned with no sure candidates. Mantenga. Today, Chattanooga is putting all its cadets through 60 hours of language training. They learn what police call survival Spanish. What's your name? Show me your ID. Critics complain this is a great deal of effort for too little payoff. For example, if the officers ask, where are you from or where do you live, the Spanish they've learned doesn't teach them to understand the response.
Chattanooga Police.
Students often forget what they've learned.
You will forget it if you don't use it enough.
Many in the Latino community say police still have to try.
By learning a few phrases, I think that's a really good help.
CDs and tapes for patrol cars. Whatever it takes.
Nosotros.
Because the reality here is that learning Spanish will only become more of a necessity. Steve Osensami, ABC News, Chattanooga.
When we come back, the final item in our broadcast tonight, On the Road to Anywhere, sharing your movie with the lizards.
We've got geckos running around the screen. We've got some trees in the background, the bright stars above you. I don't think there's a better way you could see a movie.
I'm every man.
And every woman who ever suffered from frequent, persistent heartburn.
If you've treated your heartburn and changed your diet, but the pain comes back 2 or more days a week, then you may think you know about acid reflux disease.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't.
Now the makers of Prilosec introduced their new purple pill, Nexium. Just 1 prescription Nexium a day gives many people complete resolution of heartburn symptoms.
That could mean complete heartburn relief.
And Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can determine if you have this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and for a free trial certificate for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with the new purple pill called Nexium.
Oh, what a day.
The seating capacity of a minivan.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Capabilities of an SUV. The smooth ride of a luxury car. All in one, totally innovative package. The all-new Buick Rendezvous.
I guess we're not in Kansas anymore.
Buick Rendezvous. It's all good.
Will you Tiger Woods?
The long jump. The dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
Living with people means give and take. Like, my roommates get to eat my cooking school homework, so they clean up. They do a great job. They spend hours scrubbing and soaking my precious kettles.
Cascade works 2 ways. First, it removes tough stuff. Then, its pure rinse formula leaves a better shine than the leading competitor.
Now this almost makes me want to pay their part of the rent. Almost.
Also in powder and gel.
Best Western is the largest hotel chain in the world. Over 4,000 hotels in over 80 countries, all inviting you to get a good night's sleep. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain. Call 1-800-WESTERN.
Hi, I'm Steve Dunn. Coming up next on K2 News, his words landed him in hot water. Tonight, Portland School Board calls Derry Jackson's comments deplorable. The water war in Klamath Falls takes a small turn for the farmers. And Millionaire Mania hits the Rose City. We'll go live to Portland's Millionaire Contestant auditions. I'm Steve Dunn. K2 News is next.
Finding a missing person, the difficulties, the mistakes, why it's often up to families to keep the pressure on police when the trail runs cold. On World News Tonight.
Finally from us this evening, On the Road to Anywhere, the second piece this week from our overseas correspondent Mike Lee. Judging from the many emails we got today, many of you think Mike has the dream assignment, wandering at will with his camera and his computer. We kind of agree. In tonight's installment, we learn just how far Mike will go to see a movie. We pick him up in Western Australia.
Here in the Outback, no traffic jams, almost no roads, only the vast Australian wilderness where some houses are 500 miles apart, some driveways 50 miles long. There seem to be two main sources of entertainment out here, the sunset at the beach and Sun Pictures. It's a movie theater, a very different movie theater. The seats are park benches and deck chairs. You're also welcome to sit on the grass. It's the world's oldest outdoor movie garden. Sun Pictures was built in 1916 on the other side of the earth from Hollywood. All the big films were shipped here, and the lonely outback was dazzled.
I don't know if we're in a garden.
Singing in the rain, just sing.
I've never been alone with a man before, even with my dress on.
We came back, just swooning over Gregory Peck.
Pearl Hamaguchi has never traveled far from here, but in these chairs under the deep blue night sky, she has been almost everywhere. One of the few places left in the world where you can see two sets of stars at the same time.
Well, that was the only input we got from the rest of the world. Hollywood. Of course, we all exchanged seats after the lights went off.
Then what went on?
Oh, a little bit of smooching and holding hands. Yeah.
Young fellow, probably teenager, came through and said, I think you should let me in for nothing. And she said, well, why do you think that? He said, well, my mum and dad conceived me here about 17 years ago in the back row.
Each night, dozens of people from around the world line up at the old wooden booth, not a computer in sight, to buy their tickets to the latest escape. Sun Pictures is also a museum. Projectors going back to the silent films. A portrait gallery of Hollywood greats who never knew about this place, even though they came here all the time. Every once in a while, I'm told, you might find a non-ticket holder in your seat. That's why it's always a good idea to shake out your lawn chair to make sure there are no spiders or scorpions.
We've only had a couple scorpion incidences. No one's been stung yet, so.
This is neat. It's a perfect setup.
A shrine to movie history. And a reminder that air conditioning and carpet are no match for grass and fresh air, even when the lizards steal the scene. Mike Lee, ABC News, Broome, Australia.
Tomorrow night, Mike will still be in the Pacific. We'll pick him up on Pentecost Island. I hope you'll join us then. That's our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
ABC's World News Tonight, nominated for more news Emmys than any other nightly news. No wonder more Americans get their news from ABC News.
Robert Durst says the last time he saw his wife was when he put her on a train. Then Kathy vanished. Now the mystery deepens. A mobster's daughter, about to be questioned, is gunned down. Did she know how Kathy vanished? Wednesday.
Connecting you to your world. This is K2 News.
Good evening on this Tuesday, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
I'm Paul Lindman. Good evening. Tonight, officials say they may never know why a teenage swimmer went down in the Sandy River and never resurfaced. 15-year-old Joshua Raymond Hawkins of Gresham drowned yesterday at Oxbow Park. Hawkins made it halfway across the river, called for help, then disappeared. There are reports he may have had a cramp in his leg. The Sandy River is known for its cold water, fast current, and hidden hazards, but the water is calm where Hawkins went under.
As calm as the water appears right now, it was even more so yesterday. And it's unknown what that undercurrent's doing, but still, it would appear to your average person that might be a fairly decent swimmer that would be a safe journey to attempt. And it just goes to show you that, you know, it's beyond your control sometimes. And
Safety officials again pointing out the river can be unpredictable. They urge swimmers of all ages to wear life jackets and use the buddy system when entering the water.
Water will soon be flowing again for Klamath County farmers. Interior Secretary Gail Norton today announced that some water will be released in the Klamath Basin. K2's Bob Hyde joins us live from Klamath County with a reaction from farmers. What are they saying, Bob?
Well, Steve, despite that announcement, you can see behind me some of the demonstration intention that continues here. Federal marshals are still guarding the head gate here in Klamath Falls. The Interior Department says